Hi, I'm Sanjay Kairam from Reddit. Today I'll be talking about how founder motivations, goals, and actions influence the early trajectories of online communities. If I had to sum up this work in one sentence, it would be that founders create communities with specific motivations and goals in mind, which in turn shape the early growth and success of their communities in predictable ways. This work was conducted in collaboration with Jeremy Foote at Purdue University. So, millions of people around the world participate every day in online communities. These communities address a wide variety of topics with different goals and vary in terms of their affordances for communication. These communities can provide various kinds of value to their members, including connection, entertainment, information, or social and emotional support. One thing all of these varied communities have in common, however, is that someone had to start them. So what role do founders play in shaping these communities and the value that members are ultimately going to gain from them? Founders are clearly vital to whether these communities attract critical mass or the initial set of participants that will make the community appealing to newcomers. Founders make choices about what kinds of community building actions they want to engage in to support initial growth. Empirical study by Bob Kraut and Andrew Fiore of founders of Facebook groups, for example, has identified relationships between founders' actions and whether or not these communities take off. We build on this and other prior work by exploring the attitudes associated with how founders approach their communities and how these shape the early trajectories of these communities. Specifically, we focus on two research questions. First, what are the motivations, goals, and community building plans of online community founders? Second, how do differences in these motivations, goals, and plans predict differences in the early trajectories for these communities? We conduct our research within the specific context of Reddit. With over 100,000 active communities on just about any topic you can imagine, and hundreds of millions of weekly active users, Reddit provides an ideal context for learning about the diverse set of motivations and goals associated with community founders. I'll start by providing a brief overview of our study and methods. We distributed a survey in March 2023 to a sample of new community founders with the following components. First, we asked founders for high-level demographic information and their experience in online communities. Specifically, we were interested in how much they used Reddit, their experience with moderating communities on Reddit, and their experience creating or moderating communities on other services. To capture motivations, respondents indicated their level of agreement with each of 14 Likert scale items drawn from prior work, capturing various reasons for starting a new community. To capture goal prioritization, respondents were prompted to think about how you will assess whether or not your community is successful and rank 7 measures of success also drawn from prior work. Finally, participants rated their level of agreement to items capturing their intent to engage in 4 high-level categories of community building plans: raising awareness, welcoming newcomers, encouraging contribution, and regulating behavior. Survey participants were recruited in the following way. During a 10-day period in March 2023, we captured a sample of new community creation events. Exactly 7 days after community creation, founders were sent an invitation to participate in the survey. A total of 29,000 founders were contacted, resulting in 951 valid survey completes. To assess how founders' attitudes about their communities related to the early trajectories of these spaces, we additionally captured aggregated community-level statistics on the 20th day after creation. We used 3 specific measures of community participation to evaluate early community trajectories. We count the unique number of visitors, contributors, and subscribers to the community after 28 days. We note that these are all quantitative measures of success. Regardless of whether founders prioritize quality over quantity long-term, these measures capture a community's ability to attract a critical mass of early participants who will help the community remain active. I'll also briefly summarize the statistical methods used. We used exploratory factor analysis to reduce our 14 survey items into factors, which captured distinct motivations for founding communities. From models in which we were predicting binary outcomes, such as whether or not users might hold certain attitudes, we used logistic regression. And for models in which we are predicting differences in count-based outcomes, such as unique contributors, we used negative binomial regression. So, with that overview of our study and methods in mind, let's look at what we found. We identified 4 distinct motivations capturing why founders started their communities. Most prevalent was topical interest, or starting a community because the founders found the topic to be entertaining or exciting, with 63% of founders agreeing or strongly agreeing with items on the scale. About 39% of founders agreed or strongly agreed with items capturing a motivation to connect with others, creating their community to meet or keep in touch with others or to help others express or share about themselves. 37% of founders agreed or strongly agreed with items indicating that they created their community to exchange information. These founders wanted to create a space to collect useful info, share practical knowledge, or support the discovery of new things. Finally, the least prevalent motivation was self-promotion, with just 19% of creators agreeing or strongly agreeing to items indicating that they founded their community to gain support, feel important, or build visibility in their personal or professional lives. We then looked into the relationship between these founder motivations and the early trajectories for these communities. We found that stronger topical interest motivations predicted more unique visitors, contributors, and subscribers over the following 28 days. It may be that these communities offer a clearer value proposition for potential members who are determining if and how they should participate. Founders with stronger self-promotion motivations attract more unique visitors, but ultimately have fewer contributors and subscribers. It may be that these founders attract more of a passive audience than an actively engaged community. Finally, we find that stronger social connection and information exchange motivations predict fewer unique visitors with no change in the number of contributors or subscribers. In this table, we show how participants ranked our measures of community success from 1 top to 7 bottom. We find that the 3 top-ranked goals all capture quality of engagement in terms of a high level of interactivity, high-quality information, or longevity of the community. All measures of quantity were ranked lower, indicating that these were less important to founders, at least at the starts of their communities. However, we note that founders varied substantially in what kinds of success they valued for their community. Every option was ranked number 1 by at least 10% of founders, and every option was in the bottom 3 choices for at least 25% of founders. Finally, we consider founders' plans for community building. We highlight that we rely completely on founders' self-reports here rather than behavioral metrics because so many actions, such as raising awareness, are likely to take place off-platform or in not easily measurable ways. Understanding which founders have recognized the values of these various types of actions is also meaningful. We find that for each of the 4 categories of actions, roughly half of founders self-reported having planned specific actions or strategies to drive community growth. 45% reported using specific actions or strategies to raise awareness. 53% had plans to welcome newcomers. 50% had plans to encourage contributions. And 45% had planned actions or strategies to regulate behavior. We observe clear patterns in which these actions and plans may influence early community trajectories. First, plans to raise awareness were associated with the largest increase in unique visitors, contributors, and subscribers over the first 28 days. In terms of additional strategies to increase the number of contributors, interestingly, having plans to welcome newcomers drove more unique contributors than having plans to encourage contribution. Encouraging contributions further predicted a decrease in total visitors to the community. Finally, we found that actions or strategies focused on regulating behavior had effectively no impact on community trajectories. So what should we take away from these findings? First, it's helpful to think about what we might do differently if we knew more about the motivations of founders up front. If we knew founders were motivated by a desire to connect with others, for instance, are there specific features we could surface to help them achieve that goal? Similarly, are there specific features we'd recommend that they invest in if their goal is to exchange information? Finally, we find that the observed motivations closely match contributor motivations identified in prior work. Are there ways that we can match founders and potential early core contributors based on shared motivations? We specifically find that founders motivated by a specific topic have communities with more successful early trajectories? For founders who don't have a clear topical focus, are there ways that we can nudge them towards a specific topical niche? If we were to help them identify a clear topical focus up front, could we use that information to provide topic-specific onboarding and support, such as recommended practices for gaming communities or best practices for support communities? We observed that certain types of plans for community building may be more or less effective during the early stages of a community's growth. Right after community creation, founders seem to be best served by investing time in raising awareness. While encouraging contribution too early can potentially backfire and scare off potential visitors, perhaps we can identify a specific inflection point at which it helps a community to take off. Finally, we find that, while many founders are investing effort in regulating behavior, such as setting up automated moderation tools, this effort may not be needed until the community has started to take off and grow. Can we identify the inflection point at which investment in enforcement is needed and recommend these actions in a timely manner? We find that founders vary broadly in terms of how they want to measure success. Many platforms currently provide analytics using quantity-based metrics, such as subscriber or contribution growth. How might we visualize changes in the value of information being exchanged or the quality of conversational interactions? So just to quickly wrap things up, as a quick summary of our findings, we identify 4 types of motivations for founding communities for which topical interest is the most prevalent. Stronger topical interest drives communities that have more successful early trajectories in terms of their abilities to attract visitors, contributors, and subscribers. Founders vary in how they would measure the success of their community, but early on at least tend to privilege quality over quantity. And differences in founders' stated strategies for community growth are predictive of substantial differences in the ability of these communities to attract early visitors, contributors, and subscribers. We've also identified some areas that could be addressed in future research. First, our study was conducted in English with a predominantly North American population of community founders on Reddit. How might these findings generalize to other community platforms, in other languages, and among founders from different cultures? While we focus specifically on early community trajectories, how do founder actions, member actions, and exogenous factors shape community development over the long term? How might we design automated support, such as a community co-pilot, to recommend timely actions to founders when they will be most helpful for community's development? Finally, how could we rethink the ways that we visualize community insights for founders and moderators to capture quality measures in addition to quantity measures? Thank you for watching this video summary of our paper, How Founder Motivations, Goals, and Actions Influence the Early Trajectories of Online Communities. If you'd like to learn more, please get in touch with me, Sanjay Kairam, or my co-author, Jeremy Foote.